not for the palace to say, no, we won't do it. I mean, they might raise the issues with number 10. They might say, well, this might go down badly, but they're not going to say no.
We're also scratching our heads over exactly whose idea it was for the king to meet the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. It was quite strange the way he popped up, really. Downing Street, the EU and Buckingham Palace have all denied responsibility, with the EU pointing out that Ursula von der Leyen wouldn't normally expect to meet the king because she isn't a head of state. The meeting proved controversial in some camps, with critics saying it embroils the king in a political issue. Valentine Low is the Times' royal writer. Valentine, can you clear this up?
Well, it's absolutely clear. The king would only meet a foreign visitor on the advice of the government. And clearly, the government advised the king that it would be a good idea to meet Ursula von der Leyen, and that's what happened. And it was couched there, wasn't it, in very vague terms? Oh, we discussed the diaries. Yeah. Well, the government makes it quite clear what they would like the king to do, and the king wouldn't meet anyone without that advice.
So why were they being so reticent? I'm genuinely confused.
I'm genuinely confused. We all are too. The government attempted to shift the blame yesterday onto the European Union, didn't they? By saying it was a personal desire on the part of Ursula von der Leyen to meet the king. I think they're all blame shifting here because it's gone down badly in some circles, as they always knew it would. I think what's interesting is to consider what discussions would gone on between the palace and number 10. They're in constant contact. Sometimes they talk every day. The king's private secretary and the private secretary to the prime minister. And, you know, they're not dummies at the palace. The king has got some perfectly smart advisors, and they would have thought this through. They would have realized that, you know, having this meeting on this day would go down would go down badly in some quarters. They would have realized it, and they would have factored that into their calculations.
Yeah.
Not for the palace to say, no, we won't do it. I mean, they might raise the issues with number 10. They might say, well, this might go down badly, but they're not going to say no.
It seems like, I mean, it's almost a fuss over nothing, Valentine, isn't it? Because, you know, they would have workshopped it and said, oh, what happens if this, what happens if that? And then most people didn't bat an eyelid, but obviously people like Arlene Foster were not happy about it and said, you know, what on earth is going on? This is crass. It's not going to go down very well, presumably with a very small section of people. And then someone's panicked and they've all started saying, well, it wasn't us, it wasn't us, it wasn't us. It's kind of ridiculous, really. If you make a decision, you have to just stand by it, don't you?
Yes, and there was quite a concerted effort to distance the subject of the King's meeting with Ursula von der Leyen from the Brexit talks. Say that he was talking about Ukraine, was talking about climate change, and so on. I'm sure that the Northern Ireland Protocol came up in the conversation. It'd be odd if it didn't. And it will probably blow over. But, you know, there are interesting parallels. In 1938, after the Munich Agreement, when Neville Chamberlain came back and waved pieces of paper around saying peace in our time, the King and Queen, George VI and Queen Elizabeth, had him out on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. It was a great moment. Everyone was frightfully pleased that we can have peace. It was politically contentious. And later, the Queen Mother regretted doing that. So you could wonder, will the King regret doing this?
Interesting. We'll leave that hanging. Valentine, thank you very much. Valentine Low, he is the Times' royal writer. And if you like that,
you can listen to us.
We're Stig and Asma. Have you forgotten?
Well done. Every Monday to Thursday on Times Radio Breakfast.